It's not just an ordinary Tuesday. Welcome to Terrier Tuesdays, the show where you can get to know some of Boston University's best and brightest student athletes.
Welcome to another episode of Terrier Tuesdays. My name is Scott Ellis, and I'm joined by Boston University men's basketball alum, DJ Irving. DJ, it's great to see you. How have you been doing?
Good to see you too, Scotty. I've been good, man. I've been good. Just grinding down here in the Philly area in Chester with the kids in my community and all those good things. But I've been doing well. I've been doing really well.
And you graduated in 2014. You were a former captain and team MVP and all-conference honoree. I mean, what's been going on the past 6 years since you graduated?
A little bit of everything, to be honest. I've honestly had a different job every year since I've graduated, as opposed to these last 2 years I've been in the school system. But did a little bit of everything. I've been coaching, college level, coached at Penn State for a little bit, coached at BU with Coach Jones for a little bit, lived in Spain, played pro in Spain for a year. And now I'm working in the school district. I'm an 8th grade math teacher right now. It's my first year as a teacher. So last 2 years I've been in the school. So it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
Well, what led you to become a teacher and to get into coaching youths?
So the teacher thing came about just because I always was curious about it. My mom has been an educator for the past like 10, 15 years. She's a vice provost at Eastern University. So just looking at her, seeing her do her thing, seeing her, how she has her relationships with her students, I've always been interested in it. So I just took the chance to see what it's like. And I'm teaching in my community. So that was another thing, just to try to reach the kids that I see every day, that see me every day, and just try to build that connection and try to help them reach their highest level.
Well, and speaking about that, I know you've always loved your community, being in Chester. And you just mentioned trying to help your students reach their highest marks and reach their goals. It's certainly been a very tumultuous period in America these past few months. I mean, how have those news and events impact you, and how have you been helping your kids still accomplish their goals while all this other stuff has been going on?
Yeah, I mean, seeing a lot of this stuff, it's exhausting. As a Black man myself, it's very exhausting seeing this stuff because it's kind of hard to not see it. It's on social media, it's on the news. But you always got to just keep moving forward. I mean, I have conversations with my kids all the time about it. And I allow them to open up and express themselves on how they feel. And I advise them to always try to talk to their parents or their guardians about situations like this. But my main message to my kids are just to be able to look in the mirror and see beauty, because the TV and social media might tell you something different. The color of our skin may be a threat to some people, but I want them to know that every time you look in the mirror, I want you to see royalty. I want you to see power. I want you to see beauty in yourself, right? Because again, there's times where America tells us that we are not worthy and that we are not good enough. But I think it's my job to reassure them that they are.
I've heard you give interviews elsewhere about your time at BU when it comes to education, but how did BU and getting your degree, how did that impact your life?
I think the experience at BU more than anything, more than my degree, helped me overall, because I was surrounded by a bunch of different types of people, came from all different types of places. So just that experience, having conversations with different types of people that I wouldn't have if I was home, learning from different situations, being around high character men like the staff that we had at BU, just allowed me to grow and get better each year I was there. So I love BU. I always call Boston my second home. So it's been great to me.
Well, I have to ask, being from Philly, all the teams there, what was it like being in Boston where there's another set of teams, obviously certain rivalries going on?
It was fun, to be honest, because I think every year I was there, a Boston team won a championship. So I got to experience a lot of parades, so it was fun for me. I never took any of that stuff personal.
But for you, I mean, I know you played a lot of sports growing up. I mean, how did you decide like basketball was going to be your main sport?
So yeah, I played soccer. My first sport was soccer. I played football a little bit, played basketball. I kind of just fell in love with it, to be honest. There was no like strategy to it. It was just a game that I fell in love with as I started to play. The gym and the court, being in the gym, just felt at home. I felt like I could be myself on that court. So I think just the love of the game drew me towards it even more as I got older.
And did you idolize anyone in particular, try to frame your game after a particular player or a couple of players?
Yeah, so I'm from the Philadelphia area, from Chester to be exact, and Allen Iverson was my idol growing up. 2001 was the year he won the MVP, and that was probably the peak of his career. And I was 8 at the time, so that was prime time for me to just see somebody like that at his height and his frame, being able to dominate the NBA like that. It was inspiration for me to see him do what he does at that high of a level. So just watching him growing up, it inspired me to want to be that.
Right. And Coach Jones, he's always commended you for your unselfishness as a player and your ability to be or switch roles between being a scorer and a facilitator. And what do you kind of credit that attribute to?
Just how my parents raised me, to be unselfish, to help others, and to be honest, I want to win. When I go on the court, that's my main goal. I don't care about my personal stats. Obviously, I want to play well, but my main focus when I step on the court is to win the game. I'm a very competitive person. So if in order to win, I need to score 20, 25 points, that's what I'm going to do. If we're playing a team where I don't really need to score that many points, I'm going to help my other teammates get involved and do things like that. But my main thing is I've always been somebody that has been coachable. I understand that my coaches know more than I do about basketball. That's why they're getting paid money to coach me, right? So me understanding that, I never kind of tried to fight them on that. I just kind of listened to what they told me to do, put me in position to win games. And from there, my job was just to do what I had to do to win.
Right. And you talked about being a very competitive person, and you got to reach 2 conference title games. You experienced both the highs and the lows. I mean, how have those experiences of both winning and losing helped build you as a person, as a coach, and as a mentor now to today's kids?
I think they helped me a lot, honestly, especially so my freshman year, we went to the conference championship. We won the conference championship, ended up going to the tournament playing against Kansas. And that experience taught me that hard work, right? About hard work. That was the hardest I've ever worked in my life that year. Just we playing under Coach Pat Chambers. He pushed us a lot. He pushed us to limits that we didn't know we had. So that year taught me, if you put in the work, if you grind, good things will happen, right? And that last year, my senior year, when we lost, we ended up losing to American by 18. I think just looking back on it, because I haven't really thought about this game, I try to forget about that game. But just looking back on it, us going into that game, we were feeling ourselves a little bit too much. We were kind of overconfident. We didn't really put the work in that we needed to put in prior to the game in order for us to come out successful. So me looking back on that, I would just tell my younger guys to just, put the work in, right? Put the work in every day. Prepare yourself for the game. Prepare yourself for when that moment comes, you'll be ready, right? I think the preparation is the most important thing with this game. You got to put the work in as a player. And then as a coach, you have to prepare nonstop in order to be ready for the game when the time comes.
Well, and actually, you talked about 2 of your seasons, but there's a season that's actually very similar to what the current team is going through, and that's your sophomore year, where you lose John Holland, who was, as you've said, was the best player on the team. And obviously, this year's team just lost Max Mahoney to graduation, coming off a championship. From your experiences, what advice would you give to today's roster about trying to repeat as conference champs?
I think I would just tell them to stick together, right? Obviously, with Max being gone, they have to find leadership from somewhere else. So I think the first thing was for those guys is to identify who their leader is, who their leaders are, right? Because there could be more than one leader. And then once they figure out who their leaders are, it's the leader's job to make sure everybody is on the same page every day, right? And they just have to continue to work, listen to Coach Jones, buy into what he's telling them to do. Everybody has to be bought in, one from the top guy to the last guy on the bench. Everybody has to believe in what Coach Jones is telling them to do. If anybody is 1 foot out and 1 foot in, it's not going to work. So I think the biggest thing for them is to just stick together, work hard, and to buy into the coaching staff.
And then just a couple more questions. I mean, my first one is you were a 2-time team captain, and you're currently working with another former captain, BU captain, Matt Griffin. I mean, to you, what makes a great leader?
I think the people that are following you have to trust you. They have to believe that you know what you're doing. And in order for that to happen, you got to put the work in. Like I said, I think all of this comes down to putting the work in and preparing, being the most prepared guy on the floor, right? So I think leadership comes down to your followers trusting everything that you're saying, right? Buying into everything that you're telling them to do. And you have to hold them accountable, right? So leaders should be holding their players or their team accountable at all times. I think that's one of the most important things to leadership.
Right. And then finally, what does BU basketball mean to you? What other memories come to mind when you think about your time at BU?
I got a lot of memories from BU, man. I love BU. My experience was great. I met a lot of people. Like I said before, a lot of different types of people. But just my time in the locker room with my teammates is probably what I remember most. Just that camaraderie we had. A lot of the guys from that team, we have a group chat now that we still talk in every day. So I built a lot of long-lasting relationships in that locker room. So I'll be forever indebted to BU for that. I appreciate everything that they helped me with, from the coaches to the support staff to my academic advisors, the guys like you, Scotty. All of you guys helped me become the person that I am. And those 4 years were some of the best 4 years of my life. So BU is definitely a special place to me.
Actually, one more, you talked about becoming the person you are today. Right now you're teaching, you're coaching. Do you kind of know what the future holds for you, or are you just kind of going with the flow right now as a teacher to today's youth?
Right now I want to continue in the schools, but my ultimate goal is to become a coach, whether that be at the professional level or the college level or the high school level. I'm actively learning every day and preparing myself for when my time comes to be a head coach or an assistant coach. So that is my main goal, is to be a coach.
Right. Well, congrats on all your success, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Scotty. Thank you. It was good seeing you, man. I haven't seen you in a while, so it was great seeing you.
Thanks for tuning in to Terrier Tuesdays. Give us a follow on our social media accounts at BU Athletics on Twitter and Instagram for more content.